Yeah, we haven't seen this in a long time. I've always been bugged about it. We kind of mentioned it when we were casting before as well. Like, where did the Ursa go? Battle Fury's still good. Ursa hasn't changed. We haven't had a patch. So it still kind of fits in, and I think in this case you set yourself up really well. I mean, you can rip through the Sven as you mentioned. He loves fighting these tanky heroes. You build up those Fury stacks, you get even more damage out. With a Battle Fury, you're still gonna hit hard as well as the Ursa. You've got this insane status resist, Mike. Your Enrage out with the Heavenly Grace. I don't know how long you can even lock in this Ursa. Now that's just kind of ridiculous with how long the Ursa is not going to be locked in, and I think there's a really strong potential coming out here for T1. Execration, though, I mean, the Sven is still pretty darn good. Let's be fair, it's still a solid hero. You will have to contend up against the Omni this time, not with the Omni. So you're going to have to find a way to pierce through that Guardian Angel when it flies out, deal with that status resist coming in. You have the Rubik to help you out here, which does mean that you can steal Heavenly Grace, you can steal Guardian Angel as well, so a lot of good spells already for the Rubik. And it's that Rubik into Omni that we see a lot of before. So smart pickups from Execration, really strong openings from both sides, should make for a very exciting first game.
I do agree with that. Of course, we didn't really talk about the teams much. I imagine T1 should be sitting there as the favorites in this series, but Execration not too far behind. Currently in the 5th place spot. In fact, let me just quickly refresh this to make sure they are still in the 5th place spot. And well, they are. They are currently still tied with Motivate Trust and Vice Esports. So they definitely want to try and get some wins under their belt. T1 has guaranteed secured their spot in the 3rd place. So they are going through to the upper bracket final. This game, or this series, doesn't really matter at all for T1, apart from just, you know, being able to say we won. And, you know, that is generally pretty important to most teams, I would argue. But the series overall is going to be much more impactful for Execration, as they are trying to get out of the ties that they're involved in right now with Motivate and Vice. And I believe they still also have the chance to get above Team Dog and get the 4th place spot, which would guarantee themselves a place in the playoffs in the upper bracket. But it would mean that they have to get a 2-0 victory, as well as hope that Team Dog do not win later on.
Yeah, it's going to have to be those two set of circumstances. We'll see if Execration can dig their way up. Of course, they will want that 2-0 win because of that. So we'll see how much they bring their A game out, how well Yoa can play this time around, if he can deliver. And of course, our favorite, Rupido on his off. See how well they can really pull out. Yeah, Rupido, yeah. Always fun.
I saw you.
He didn't respond.
I know. I saw you. I saw you say it in that way. I saw you type out the rolling R in the chat. He did not say a word to you. So I'm now afraid we're really upsetting him every time we we say it. But you know,
should be fine.
No, he'll be alright. He'll be alright.
I was more upset by the fact that March popped into lobby. So Coach March came in. I said hi. He immediately bailed out. Went in and out. Didn't want to have to do anything with that lobby, which is fair. No.
I don't.
He's had his time. March has had his time.
I mean, I cast with you all the time, John. I don't blame March for not wanting to be involved. I do get to say hello to John. Hello to March on his stream sometimes, and I'll be honest, John. He's never brought you up. He never talks about you. Every time I say your name, he does tend to just act as if nothing ever happened. So the draft will continue, though. T1, they go for the Shadow Demon. Execration, they do go ahead and pick up a Mars. So you do have a nice way of saving people once the Aghanim Scepter is available on the Sven, as well as things like saving people from the Mars and the Rubik with that disruption. Apart from that, though, I mean, Shadow Demon is just pretty good overall. You can stack up very easily. You can put the Purge on a core, make it very hard for them to get anything done in the middle of a team fight. A very strong support to have. And T1, they go back for the Magnus now. So they say, if you have a cleave with your POS 1, we're going to have a cleave as well with the Ursa.
Yeah, it's going to help the Ursa, of course, accelerate their farm. I still think you're probably going to eye the Battle Fury anyway. The regen's still too nice. The stats are pretty darn good. But with Magnus, there's less pressure to get in the timely fashion. You could maybe opt for an SNY build or what have you, whatever you need in this lineup. The Shadow Demon as well, on top of that save you mentioned, you do have that Demonic Purge to slow down the Sven. So you've got something to pierce through, spell immunities. Keep that Sven kited up as best as you can, which is not as amazing as you can make it sound because of how low the cooldown on Stormhammer is. So even if you do kite him around, he's going to be running at you at some point anyway. But at least the Shadow Demon can kind of mitigate some of that. Do have to worry about the combinations Execration has, though. Lift into Spear is the big one with the Rubik Mars. So you're looking at a challenging lane at least here for your Ursa. We'll have to see how well the Shadow Demon and the Omni Knight can kind of protect that Ursa there, whichever one does go to that lane. And Execration, for their part, go back into this Invoker. So you do have some stable ways of getting some good team fight out. Invoker's going to be pulling out a lot of the spells. You've got the Arena to set up for that. You've got the Sven to follow up with a Cleave. So it's looking fairly straightforward here for Execration, looking like a nice draft. We'll have to see if they will land the Invoker against the Magnus, though.
It just makes me laugh every time there's a Mars right in the middle of the draft, and he just has to... He's always going to be covering someone with the shield. Poor old Invoker. Just not getting a real look. Of course, Mars is holding up the shield now, but he'll put it back down, and suddenly Invoker is half gone. It's really the way it should be anyway. Especially if Execration does have the persona going. You just don't get to see any of the Kid Invoker, which is perfect for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to see that crap.
We'll have to see if they do have it. It would be poetic justice to have that covered up. Still, draft does go on. You see the AA banned out here by T1, so kind of trying to get the maximum value they can for their Omni Knight pick, and just ensuring that they don't have to worry about being blasted down. Execration did take out the Bat Rider that we've always seen kind of banned out in this phase, if it hasn't been picked up. And they do take out the center, so they're targeting the Cuckoo heroes. They seem to be assuming the mid-mag coming out here. Ursa's safe. We'll see if that's the case. Cuckoo has played Magnus before on the off, but we've seen off Magnus. It has been rather slow, right? You go for the Arcanes, you go for the mech, the blink timing slowdown, you don't have damage. I think Cuckoo, with how he likes to play, might be looking for something to allow himself early setup for the team and a bit more of a snowball effect rather than a support-ish offlaner here.
Do you ever think that one day we'll get the Legion Commander persona where we get our guy on the horse again with the mustache?
Maybe.
Do you remember?
Would be an interesting shakeup. Yeah.
That was
I
actually so frightening when you saw that guy running at you with his damn horse. It just duels you, and you just... That was actually really... I mean, now Legion Commander, she runs at you, and it can be scary, but you know, most of the time you just feed some dual damage away. It gets a little bit sad. I want my horse
Not
back,
as intimidating.
John.
Yeah, well, you could play the CK if you want and crash some PCs.
True.
You could do that in Dota 1.
I can't play the CK, John. I'm very scared to press the R button if I do play an Aghanim Scepter with CK right now. Execration, they do go for the last pick, Phoenix. So a very strong kind of draft here. Plenty of skills to be thrown out in the arena. I would say that arena is going to be very influential this game. You've got the Egg, the EMP, the Chaos Meteor, the Sunstrikes, the Cataclysms, any spell Rubik stills, the Sven, of course. And speaking of the devil, would you believe it, the Legion Commander does come out. Cuckoo will take it. And I do really like that set that he does have on the Legion Commander as well. Very, very nice looking set, I should add, but it's not a horse, John.
No.
It's not the same. Nope.
It's not. It always looked a bit wonky for me, though, that Dota 1 animation when you'd counterattack. It looked so weird on horse. And then you've got that whole scaling thing. Like we talked about with the CK, right? I pointed it out that he looks so tiny in comparison to the horse. Do you reckon a Legion Commander here, would it be... So the Legion Commander is the person riding it or the horse? Because it feels like Chaos Knight. The horse is the actual knight there because it's so damn big. Right? I would love to see it, though. That is a good idea for Persona. Why don't you work for Valve, Mike? You could give them some good ideas there. Maybe get some Earth Spirit sets out.
I'd like to work for Valve, John, but looking at their job requirements, it says you require talent and skill and qualifications, and I don't have any of those, John. I like I told you before, I come from a very poor part of Sydney. I don't know much,
What does that
John.
have to do with us?
What do you mean, John? It's not like I got a good education. I'm here casting Dota. Why do you think I'm casting Dota, John?
That's fair. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, that immediately disqualifies us for any sort of intelligence. Still, gonna look how this game breaks out. Again, you mentioned it, but the Mars is gonna be really influential here. So Rupido's gonna have to set up with his arena. We're gonna have to see if he can deliver. He has been pretty on point for Execration though. He's been setting up, so a lot more pressure here. What are they doing? Pal Doggy Cuckoo.
What does that mean?
That
John?
I have no clue. That is definitely just probably just their inside
Can
joke.
someone in the chat please translate? Because the
Dog friend?
the Filipino
friend?
I have on stream right now can't
It's
speak
not
the language.
Filipino.
Oh, stop
It's
it,
not.
John.
It's not.
How do
he's
I
just
know,
saying
John?
friendly dog. Dog friend. Throwing him under the bus. Why? Pal Doggy Cuckoo. Poor Cuckoo. Manong Ninong Cuckoo sa Pasko. What? Uncle Cuckoo at Christmas. Is he asking for a gift? BDZ, are you looking for something here? Maybe he wants to get into the action at Okada as well.
Maybe Kuku will give him a bit of dual damage this game. That should be enough.
Yeah, some dual damage on the Rubik, always useful
Oh,
to
look at
have.
that.
BDZ.
Jackie says go, and everyone else is like, no, wait. And Jackie's like, oh, sorry, guys.
Carl Pal Dog na din eh. Labatay.
It's always good to
Wait,
see
I'm
everyone in
trying to
good
decide
spirits.
for this. I can't see Carl.
You don't get this in other regions where people just pause the game and just start talking trash to each other.
That's how it goes. Gosh, I wish I could understand what BDC just said. I can't. It's so. No, it fails to.
What is it,
Flies
John?
over my head.
I'll get
Maybe
someone
it's
in the chat. Don't worry. The chat will know. Someone in the chat, read that, please. Si Karl Paldog Naden I Laba Tayo Dian. Say that, John. That's perfect pronunciation.
Si Carl Pal Dog na din eh.
No.
Laba tayo dyan.
Don't repeat it after I said it, John. I told you. I already pronounced it perfectly.
Absolutely perfect there, Mike. We'll find out. Chat will fill us in. We'll find out in 5 minutes because of the delay. Don't you worry, guys. We're not gonna be that clueless for too long. 7 digits, says BDZ.
Yeah, which is something
nice.
we're very far away from, John. Don't get any ideas. That's not for us.
Hey,
So,
that's why Cuckoo's bringing us to Okada. He's got 7 digits.
he was trying to be nice to you, John. And anytime someone offers you something, you always just want to take full advantage of it. You just leave the man.
Absolutely.
Paul March, he said hello to you once. Now you won't leave him alone.
No, I won't. You better watch out, March. I will say hi to you every single time. Still, game unfolds. Gonna have to see how this does go out. Carl is gonna take mid, so it's our mid Magnus up against the mid Invoker. That one should be an interesting one. We haven't seen this kind of matchup in a while, mainly because we've always seen Magnus and Invoker band out. So we'll see how far Carl can push it. Should be a bit of a test. Ken should have a good time. Should regen true and hold down this lane just fine. What's up, Mike?
I love Cuckoo. He just spams try hard and then says good luck and then tips BDZ straight after that. Like very mixed messages here from Cuckoo. So, I love watching Cuckoo. I think he's a fantastic player. He is.
Yeah, it's you know how it is. He loves trolling around with his he loves trolling around with his long White Mon's in on the action.
Wait, is one?
He's doing it. No, it's BDZ doing the tag. What?
Oh, BDZ. He hit the Roshan and took the trees out. Wait a minute.
What?
You can't just do that to Whitemon. That is the ultimate BM to Whitemon right there. Hitting the Roshan before he can. And now the tips come out from your way. He's letting him know.
For some reason, all right, before we break into seriousness here, for some reason, every single time someone throws out dog, Whitemon jumps back in and starts hurling that back. It seems to be his favorite go-to insult for some reason. It's his favorite. God bless Whitemon. He is an interesting guy, as Savage would say, Louis. Still, let's see how his lane goes. He is going to be up with Jackie on the Ursa. So you've got that dual lane there, dual melee, but very sustainable dual lane. Up against that, Rubik Mars, Rupido, and BDZ can be holding their own. Level 2, level 3 spike is going to be big once you get that lift into Spear, but early on, Jackie should be able to hold just fine as long as the God's Rebuke spam doesn't hurt him too much.
Absolutely. No, Whitemon just going to run BDZ down. That's one of the things you can do up against the Rubik as an Omni Knight is just kind of run him down. There's not much BDZ can do about that. And as soon as BDZ leaves, just go pay your attention towards Rupido. Nah. Well, we'll just keep going. Of course, in the mid lane, we do have Ken on the Invoker, playing up against Carl on the mid Magnus. And well, right now, Ken is pumping out quite a lot of harassment towards Carl. Looks like he will continue to do so as the laning stage does go on. Carl, I imagine, will have to bring out a bit more regen for himself as time goes on. But as the levels go up, he should feel a bit safer as bot lane. Cuckoo almost drops. Everyone almost dropping, in fact, across the map. This bot lane looks to be where all the action's been happening. Cuckoo and Zephyr are going to be up against Yoe and, of course, RR. Like I said, everyone dropping fairly low in terms of HP. But, looks like they'll go for the small camp pool. Everything will reset just a bit. Both teams should just relax a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it's really down to the aggression both sides have with their combinations. Like, you look down bot, Zephyr, of course, will want to just spam out the shadow poisons. There's not much you can do once you get that stacked up. And you really do have to be careful about your spacing there. They do have a lot of regen on hand, though, on the bot lane. So you're not going to fully find them shoved out with that spam, but it is making it tricky to find last hits. Have been lagging slightly behind on Yoe, just a few creeps behind Jackie on the start. So not the smoothest starts for Sven. Cuckoo and Zephyr again making that difficult, but overall, you're not going to be under threatened anytime soon. You are still finding levels on RR, and if you hit that level 3 spike on the Phoenix along with the Stormhammer flying through from Yoe, you can burn a couple of these heroes down.
That you can. Back to mid, Carl's been looking very healthy on the Mag now, and of course with the Magnus, if you do feel healthy enough and not at risk of dying, you are going to be able to out-CS Ken very easily on the Invoker. You do have that inbuilt power to just make sure you can secure every single CS. And a very nice glyph out from Carl as well, denying away that range creep with the Tornado, and now he doesn't get the deny off anyway. So the glyph was nice, but he didn't really get the deny, which kind of ruins the whole thing. It's still fine, I guess, as he tries to go for the shackle, but a cold snap is out from Ken. He will barely miss that skewer.
Yeah, it's a really tight lane. You're seeing Carl pull ahead in last hits, though, and this is where the Invoker kind of falls flat. He can trade a bit better with range, but the wave clear of Carl is a lot more consistent with the Empower, so Ken's gotta watch himself. Like, Carl doesn't care too much now. He's got his bottle. He's gonna wait for the 4-minute power rune to spawn up, and they've already got their supports in position here, T1. Whitemon walking down top to secure that rune.
They do it. Beat easy. Whitemon gonna have a fight over it to lift up, but it's gonna be down to the bot lane where Carl does get a double damage rune active for himself. Does put it in the bottle. That's just gonna mean he secures even more CS now. It could be a very tough time for Ken on this Invoker once he does opt to choose to bring that double damage out. Might even wait to the level 6 mark if he wants to try to go for a kill onto Ken with an early RP. The DD should allow him to get the damage out.
Yeah, would be a really big spike. So you've got to watch your spacing there if you can. Maybe call for supports to bully out Carl while he drops low, but doesn't look like they have too much space. Every single lane is under a lot of pressure for Execration. Looking down bot, I mean, Yoe just drops really low, and they get the first blood.
Well, they do. RR is the one to drop. Zephyr able to get the kill, and only the Shadow Poison spam that was coming out is Yoe now. I mean, you pointed out how low he is, but it's going to be tough for him to sustain himself in this lane until RR does come back with some regen. I mean, Cuckoo is able to just take over the lane for free on this LC. There's a lot of creeps going Cuckoo's way as well. A full double creep wave, in fact. It's going to feel very nice for this LC.
Yeah, it's been a smooth start here for Cuckoo, and you're at the point where, you know, even if you have these fire spirits up in the Phoenix, the press the attack's gonna be there to purge it off anyway. Although Zephyr
in trouble. It's like he may die. No, the stick charges will be enough to survive. The last fire spirit did not connect. He'll just salve up immediately. Top lane, Whitemon going on to BDZ, but a nice spear out from Rupido does end up getting the kill. Jackie trying to move in for another slam, but is unable to, as he was blocked up by our Mars. And Jackie, just keep up the farm on this Ursa. He is top of the CS board right now. There's no real reason for him to chase down kills if he doesn't need to. I'm sure he's just happy keeping up the CS.
Yeah, it's a really good time for him. Top of the last hits board. So T1 are still finding what they want in this lane despite dropping that 1 kill. They are securing Jackie's early farm. Remember, this farm will escalate if they have Carl come up. Give him an empower down the line. Going to be flash farming like a madman. So that's something Execration really has to keep in check. Rupido is also farming up rather well. Level 6 is his spike. You'd really want to make something happen with his first arena. Maybe even just locking in the Omni Knight's going to be enough to give you a bit of a gold boost. But you definitely need to keep that pressure up top and try to buy space for Yoa. You're just not getting the same effect from your Sven bot, which is always surprising, but this has been such a high pressure lane for T1, and Yoa is just never really getting space.
Very low in the mid lane, I meant to say. Carl. So, copped a cold snap there from Ken. We'll end up getting through it, and does seem to have some nice passive regen to be able to get back into the lane, but Ken going to feel very happy with himself over the harassment he's been dishing out onto Carl. You are at that stage, though, as with the mag, you can just go to the neutrals now. But I don't really see Carl sticking around in the lane too long. He could probably give it over to Zephyr on the or Whitemon on the Shadow Demon and Omni Knight and just let them take over the mid lane.
Yeah, it's going to be easy enough for Carl to start playing that jungle. Looks like he will. No supports coming out yet, as again, they are applying pressure.
Arena. Yeah, top lane. They've got Whitemon in the arena. They will get a secondary kill onto the Omni Knight. Nice pick up there for Execration. That'll mean a 2-1 now. T1 just trailing slightly behind.
And that was important for Execration to find. The moment you hit 6 in Rupido, you needed to find that kill. They find it. Not the biggest target, but it's all about getting some gold into your Mars early on to start applying that pressure on the Ursa to make him feel less safe. Whitemon does just jump back in, and Jackie just clears out some pretty big stacks. So overall, T1 not going to be too scared of that movement, but they should be aware that Execration's getting ready to hunt.
Oh, Jackie. It's going to be all right up at that top lane. Like Zephyr made a rotation to the mid, but he'll go back down towards the bot lane. Yoe. Threatening with the war cry, but is not going to throw out the stun. Cuckoo feeling very confident to just keep abusing this LC, the amount of sustain she has. Wants to try and take some of these creeps away, and actually does with the overwhelming odds. He will be able to get a couple of creeps for himself, and I'm sure Yoe is not going to be very happy about that.
That's a good amount of gold Cuckoo intercepts. He also soaks a lot of EXP. This is a solo lane for LC, so level 7 is going to be coming up soon for Cuckoo, and they're going to have to be careful. They haven't made moves for the first duel yet, but once Cuckoo is confident enough to get that kill in, you can expect him to start looking for those plus 10 damage stacks soon.
Definitely can. Zephyr looking to make a rotation mid. If he lands the disruption, they can go into an RP skewer back. Looks like Carl was a bit low on mana anyway, so they can't really afford to try, but he's going to be happy with just continuing to take stacks. Carl's not stressed out at all. Still just farming very nicely. I mean, you look at this Ursa, or in fact, Whitemon. Top lane, gonna have all his mana drained. Ken does make the rotation now with the spear. Rupido does get another kill for himself on the Mars, and that's a nice rotation out from Ken. Because they would have loved to go after the Ursa, but Jackie has already shown up down at the bot lane now. He's looking to trade those T1 towers very early on.
Yeah, it's going to be a straightforward trade. No defense coming out from Execration, although RR is hanging at the back, but he does not have the egg. It's a bit of a risky spot. They are still getting some good farm out here on T1. You're seeing Jackie and Carl really pull ahead, and Jackie actually finds RR.
He does, but RR going to Icarus dive and just TP up. He'll be perfectly fine. Surprised Jackie actually went for the Enrages. Whitemon top lane again going to go down. This Mars has been very aggressive, already finding a 3rd kill, in fact 4th kill for himself now. A very good game thus far, and it does force Cuckoo to rotate on the LC. In fact, another Arena puts the hand up for a high five. I don't believe he has enough damage, but Ken's going to come back in now. He really wants this kill. Cuckoo going to press the attack, go for the duel out. I'm not sure about this one, Cuckoo. RP's going to be there. Carl going to come in to try and save the day. They do kill off Cuckoo with the tornado, and now Carl's going to be in trouble. Rupido is just way too tanky. They get the spear off, and with that, Yao is going to come in and get the kill on the Sven. Great rotations out from Execration. All off the back of this Mars.
Yeah, they really are playing off the back of Rupido, and we talked about this, but they really needed the Mars to pick up that pace. He has been delivering. They've been playing around the timings that they can get early with the Arena, and that does give them a nice set of kills, giving them that top tier 1 trade as well. 6-1. They are still lagging behind in net worth overall. That is just down to the fact that this is a Magnus game, but so far that gap isn't that big.
No, it is not. Down the bot lane, Jackie. He's going to be enraged up. It looks like he might be okay. The shockwave does come out. Ken. Jackie's still going for a run. Cuckoo's going to follow up just in case he needs their help, but it looks like he's going to be fine, and they're going to turn back around now on Execration. Looks like they do give up on that. In the meantime, BTS did steal the purification off the Omni Knight, which is going to be kind of handy if one of his teammates does get jeweled up by Cuckoo. Could be a nice way to turn that jewel around.
Definitely will be it, and that's the one boon of the Rubik versus Omni Knight. Every single spell you steal is going to be useful to the Rubik one way or another. So you do have to be conscious about that if you are Whitebond. He does have his level 6, so we might see something come out with an offensive Guardian Angel use, but so far, T1 understanding where the strength of their lineup is, it's still at, farm efficiency. So they're just going to get Jackie some space to keep farming up, still saving up for that Battle Fury. We're seeing Carl as well save up for his Echo Saber Blink. Almost there in the Echo Saber, but the Blink's still a bit further out, and that does mean that the game will stall out for T1 just a bit.
That it will. Top lane, they still want to try and get a fight going. Rupido seems very prepared for this. Has the Arena back up, and Yoe is going to be around, but looks like he'll go for the farm on the creeps. Ara going to be right behind our Mars. Zephyr going to go for a bit of a run. Arena is going to be perfectly placed there by Rupido, and he does get the kill, or maybe not. Zephyr does disrupt, but he is coming back out to his death, and Ara is the one to take the kill on the Phoenix. They are really off to a great start, 7-1. RP though, top lane, gonna be on Yoe. Underneath that tier 2 tower, he'll try to go for a run now. With the Stormhammer being thrown out, the God's Rebuke from the high ground is gonna slow them down. And T1 cannot capitalize off that RP skewer.
That would have been a really big kill for them to take. They needed to keep the Sven kept in check. But they don't manage to find that opening. Rupido again, with the proper spacing, the proper positioning, managing to get that slow. And now they're going to be forced to defend that mid-tier 1. They do manage to force them away, but this is time where they're not farming up. And this is time where Yoe just gets to play in the triangle with his own stack. So overall, T1 just not working the map as efficiently as they'd like. They are forced to really wait for these key item pickups before they can really start to make any plays across the map. It kind of goes back to these supports. Right, like you can't expect the Shadow Demon and the Omni Knight to really set up plays. They will need a backup for their cores, and their cores need items to be comfy.
Mid lane. Disruption. Gonna be out. Who was it even on? It was onto Cuckoo, but he blinks away in time. Still Yoe gonna pop the God's Rebuke. Not God's Rebuke, God's Strength. They're going to go in. Arena going to be dropped. The jewel is there. Looks like they might even find Yoe. They're trying. He's pretty healthy, but he does eventually go down. Now the Guardian Angel does come out from Whitemon. They want to keep going for this fight. Jackie looking for a target, but they aren't going to really be able to find anyone apart from Ara on the Phoenix. Can he get himself out? He does have the Icarus stunts. They're going to turn back around now onto Jackie, but he'll stick charge up. Still trying to get away. Can he get out of there? There's so much heal coming out. They do manage to make it happen. T1 keeping their core alive, and all that illusion from Carl is going to be targeted as Cuckoo. Does actually deny off the mid-tier 1 tower. Pretty nice stuff from T1.
It was really nice. They stall out the push, they get the deny. They did only just find a Sven, but that is the biggest target from Execration, so overall you're glad. They are still lagging overall in terms of kills, but they do have the network lead back in their end. So it's 7-2, a slight swing up for T1. Exactly what they'd want at this point in the game. They just need to keep playing this farm game. With their tier 1 mid gone though, their jungle is going to be a little bit more exposed. So you've got to be aware of the movements out from Execration. They already have this deep ward in the jungle as well. And they need to know that it's not very safe in that top jungle and reconsider where they need to play this farming game now.
That they do. Carl trying to get that Blink Dagger up on the mag. So gonna have it at about 400 gold. Bottle gonna be refilled there by Cuckoo. It's like Ken went back for the Midas build on the Invoker, so that's gonna allow him to keep scaling on this Invoker as time goes on. Again, the Invoker mag made in the mid lane, but BDZ this time is going to be right behind Carl. Still Cuckoo going to be there to make sure Carl does stay alive as well. Meanwhile, Zephyr finds himself in a peculiar situation. He's going to try and run with the press the attack out from Cuckoo. Now the overwhelming odds, Purification, and the Heavenly Grace all keeping him alive as now Cuckoo goes in for a duel. However, Arena and Guardian Angel stolen by BDZ. They will keep everyone up and Cuckoo will be the one to die. Jackie's going to go in on the Ursa. They'll aim down Ken and they do get the first kill. Back onto Yoe. Do they want to fight this Sven? They'll go after Rupiro first, but a nice spear away. Now the skewer into Yoe, but he's going to turn back. Go for the team fight. He does get one. Jackie's still around, but he's being burnt by the Sunray of RR. He does manage to kill off the Mars, but it will cost him his own life. And now they keep going after Zephyr. Zephyr will probably survive this, as he does have Whitemon right behind him. But definitely a very nice team fight out for Execration.
Definitely is. T1 a bit hasty on the jump in with the duel for Cuckoo, so he doesn't get the ideal duel he'd want. They don't manage to find the kill. They force out the stolen Guardian Angel from BDZ from the last fight, and they kind of fail to remember that the Rubik can do that. So again, T1 have to be mindful of that Rubik. It does do a lot of work if it steals these spells from the Omni Knight, and that just means Whitemon has to watch his positioning. He needs to keep himself as far away as possible from the Rubik while still getting his spells out in timely fashion. Not an easy job to do, but that is what is required from him right now. Still T1, they're not lagging too far behind in terms of net worth. It swings back the way of Execration, but still less than 1k lead going their side. T1 still working the map well. They've got the Battle Fury up in Jackie so he can farm independently of Carl. And that means Carl can just focus on building his next item. Has that Blink with the Echo Saber up on our Magnus. They can't play around over Cuckoo.
He does find Cuckoo. Sunstrike going to come in with the Sunray. A lot of sun. Cuckoo is absorbing right now and he will die. Zephyr, meanwhile, TP'd in to try and help, but this might cost him his own life. He's going to try and run, but RR right next to him does get the control and they do get the kill. Great plays out from Execration, but Jackie jumps in, kills off BDZ. They have Whitemon around with the Heavenly Grace, and they're going to make the chase onto this Mars. But that one creep is blocking the way for Jackie. He'll eventually get there. Rupido underneath the tier 3 tower. The skill is going to come out. They do get the kill. This is buying a lot of space out for Yoe. Still farming very nicely on the Sven, and it looks like he is going to start working on towards that Aghanim Scepter now.
That's going to be a big spike for our Sven. He will still have to watch out for the disruption and the Heavenly Grace. That will stall out his control. But with a BKB on top of that on our Sven, he doesn't have too much to worry about in terms of control from T1. He should be allowed to run around. The only real threat is Zephyr with the Demonic Purge, but he has been picked off fairly consistently. Still, the Roche does fall really fast to T1. This is the effect of an Ursa draft. Jackie gets to pick up the first Aegis of the game. Execration, not too much time to respond. They're going to have to maybe work their way around the map. There is still an RP on T1, so they've got to be cautious about clumping up like this.
Oh, they found out Zephyr. He will go for the disruption before the stun does come in. Meanwhile, Rupido going to jump in. Zephyr, he will die. Now it's on to Cuckoo. Got the cold snap with the earn out, but he will press the attack. Meanwhile, Jackie going after Ken. Cuckoo is still trying to control the rest of them. Ken gonna survive. The skewer back on BDZ. The Guardian Angel out from Whitemon. They do get rid of BDZ. Spear, though, is going to be very, very nice. Onto the Omni, so Whitemon will die. Onto Jackie. He wants Ruopiro, and he might just find him, and he does. Yoe is still trying to fight out, though. Goes after Carl now. The jewel is there, but they already cut off Carl, and now Cuckoo goes down. More damage up for Yoe. Jackie's still going, but the BKB will be popped from our Sven, and he's going to make a run for it. On to Jackie. Once again they go, and they will get the Aegis. Can they get him a second time? Jackie going to try and run, but the Cold Snap is there with the Urn. Zephyr is back around, so Jackie going to turn back around onto Ken, and Ken is actually going to die to that one Shadow Poison from Zephyr. And with that, Jackie is going to make a run.
These fights are really messy for T1. They're not finding the angle it's in. They lose a whole bunch of heroes. 4 hero wipe, 5 if you want to count the Aegis. And Execration just really punishing them. T1 biggest issue right now is that Carl cannot find an angle. He's standing around, he keeps getting earned up, he keeps getting some DOTs on top, so he can't blink in for the RP. And without the RP, our Magnus is just basically standing there, maybe getting an Empower off. Not the most meaningful impact. And we need to see a little bit more coming out here from Carl. Perhaps once he has his BKB, that job gets a little bit easier. Until then, you're playing at a huge deficit. You're basically playing 4v5 if Carl doesn't get the spell off. And Execration, for their part, really great first BKB reveal from Yoe. Yoe, he is saving up for a blink instead. So rushing the blink first instead of Yags gives him a little bit more flexibility in his initiation. And that means he doesn't need to worry too much about being baited in. There is a smoke now as well from Execration.
They're going to give another team fight a crack. T1, they're just going to sit back on their high ground in the jungle, just relax. But I say that, Cuckoo, going to be spotted out down at the bot lane, does end up dying. So ultimately they do still end up getting a fairly valuable kill for their trouble. And with that, Yoe, stun going to be thrown out onto the mag, but Carl is going to skewer away. Looks like they're ready to keep going here, but T1, they're going to be very defensive. They're just going to sit back and try to avoid any kind of engagement for now.
Yeah, they still need time to farm up. They'd love to have those BKBs up. At the very least, the BKB on Carl is almost done. They're going to have this Satanic built up as well on Jackie, and once you have that, the stat resist is pretty ridiculous. Heavenly Grace plus the Enrage plus Satanic status resist. You are not locking in this Ursa. They will have to concede some objectives, and the defense comes in.
Rage is going to be there, though. Jackie is ready to fight, but there are a lot of heroes coming out. Yoe just blinking forward, and Jackie losing so much HP. He will get taken down onto Whitemon, and poor Whitemon. He can't take the strikes from Yoe on the Sven. With that, a 3k net worth advantage now for Execration. They will continue roaming through this dire jungle, trying to find more.
Yeah, they're just getting that punishment out. The 3k leads on their end now in Execration. T1 starting to really lag behind. Losing Jackie is big. It's just every single core of T1 is stuck farming. And this is exactly what they do not want to have to happen. Still BKB's up in Carl. They could look for an opportunity once the Ursa's up, but they're going to lose objectives if they have to wait that long.
Yeah, Ag's up on Ken, though. So you got to watch out for that Cataclysm now. So, I just don't see them finding much out of this smoke. T1, they might just kind of rotate and try to get some farm going on the other side of the map with this smoke, or maybe not. They're going to keep going north, back towards their own tier 2 tower that is being pushed in by Execration. It's going to be one TP in. Whitemon going to get scattered out, but Ruopiro is all by himself. He's going to try and fight this one out with the arena, but it looks like he is going to be alone. Still, they do go onto RR. The Phoenix going down. Now the Jewel is there. Cuckoo has found BDZ. BDZ still alive, but will eventually die. And now the Mars being left behind is going to mean a third kill out for T1. That'll be a very nice feeling, as they have been losing the last couple team fights. With that, they can feel good about themselves, as they might be able to find maybe a mid-tier 1 tower.
They could still go hunting if they wanted to. They still have RP standing. Full 10-second BKB chart has not been expended by Carl. So he still has a lot of spell immunity left in that first item usage. Not quite lined up for a push. They will at least take out the top tier 1 that they committed to last time. They do finally find that. You are seeing some talent spikes line up here for T1 as well. Jackie, level 19, about to hit 20. Going to have a huge amount of damage or a lot more mobility coming out with lower cooldowns, depending on which way he goes. And Jackie's BKB is also almost done. So the problems you've had locking in the Ursa, I think you will really be hard-pressed to keep Jackie pinned down. With this BKB flying in, once he can just stand there and fight, that will fix a lot of T1's issues right now. As Execration, they had a slight 3k lead a while ago. It's back down to T1's way at less than 1k. So every single fight they lose actually really hurts their chances as T1, again, are working this map more efficiently with a Magnus.
They are. Bot rune spot. Rupido gonna be able to just blink away. Things still just going swimmingly for both teams. Like Yoe just really wants that Daedalus up now for that added damage, and he's already doing quite a lot of damage, but being able to burst people down in like 2 hits is always going to feel quite nice if you can have that. Looks like the rest of Execration are going to go for a quick smoke up. Bot lane, who have they found? It is going to be Carl with the Cataclysm. However, he does BKB and RP, just defensively trying to get out. Now Jackie's going to show himself. Rupido is there with the arena, drops it straight away with the speed, but the disruption is going to save the day from Zephyr. Jackie now pops the enrage, does get cycloned up. He's going to try and fight this one out and actually does a lot of damage to Yoe. He's trying to turn around, but he cannot. Yoe will die. Rupido still going though. Jackie is falling low, and they do get the kill onto Whitemon. He will also die to RR. Cuckoo has been left behind. He will go down, and Zephyr, being lifted up by BDZ, will be the 4th one to die. This is all at the cost of a position 1 Sven. It's going to be a very worthwhile trade for Execration.
And this exact situation happened before as well, where they commit everything they had to kill off the Sven. I believe that was near the mid-tier 1 fight. It cost them so much to just kill the Sven. I'm surprised they jumped back in after the RP BKB was blown from Carl. They need to play with that on the offense, not the defense. And with that kind of opening, Execration, even though they lost their big core, they will get some good damage in onto this tier 3. They've got Alacrity up on the siege creep. They can still do some good work on these objectives.
That they can. They'll get a tier 3 and that'll be it. They don't want to rush too much. Carl. Gonna show up for a second, but he's just gonna be there to defend. He doesn't want any part of this Execration side right now. It's definitely getting harder and harder as time goes on. As you look at the Mars again, John, he's going for that Heaven's Halberd now. That's gonna be a bit tough for Jackie to deal with, because he has gone for a bit of status resist with that that S and Y build up. So it isn't going to last as long, but it is still going to be kind of frustrating here for Jackie.
Yeah. I'd say shouldn't be too worried. He does have a lot of status resist, although.
Jewel comes out, Cuckoo catches him mid-flight. He's not going to be able to get the kill though. Disruption, Egg all coming out. Jackie trying to take down the Egg first, and does. With that Egg gone, looks like they want to think about going for a Roshan, and that'll force RR to buy back. He'll TP back towards his team. But with this buyback now, Execration are going to be the ones that are forced to try and Roshan. They do not have the X, so this could be dangerous.
Sound strategy.
Cuckoo. It's going to be a big loss if they can't get something out of this buyback. Jackie's gone back in. They know about this. They're going to try and interrupt Jackie. BKB, Aegis picked up. He does get it. Now the jewel is there. Jackie should be able to at least take down this Mars. He is still alive, however. He'll have to wait a bit longer. Arena going to be dropping an immediate bash out from Jackie. A great touch on the spear as well out from our Ursa. And they will get the kill. On to Carl. Cataclysm's going to come out, but Yoe is going to get RP'd up. Do they have the damage output? Well, they purge him up. Yoe can't go anywhere. He has to try and fight back, but he doesn't even have the God strength available. And they move in for more now. Execration, they do get everyone else out, but that is a huge loss coming for that Radiant side.
I mean, that was just so awkward buying back on RR. He did not have egg anyway, so his contribution would have been really minimal in terms of a team fight beyond the healing. Really bad spot T1 now, managing to make the most of that pickup. Do have the Aegis standing on Jackie, so he's going to be able to do a lot more here. And they're gonna be hard pressed to lock him in. Again, you're just seeing the effect of the stat resist coming out. He is just very hard to keep pinned down. You're gonna be able to find some objectives. The one blessing here for Execration is that there's no RP for a while, and they have stolen RP on VDZ, so there's an opportunity to punish T1 for overextending.
That there is. Jackie not gonna back off this tier 2. He really just wants it down. BTS gets the RP off. He got 3 of them. Arena's going to be there. Whitemon popping the Guardian Angel straight off the bat, but they have lost 2 supports already. Still Jackie going back onto the Mars. They should be able to get 1, but the Deafening Blast going to delay things quite a bit. Rupido's still alive. He's going to be fine. Jackie trying to go for a run, but he's going to be speared up, and it looks like he may just die, and he does. That'll be the Aegis. Can they get the secondary life? Cold Snap is there. Yoe does get in with the blink, and Jackie is set to die. RR the one to pick up the kill. A triple kill out on the Phoenix. What an RP coming up from BDZ. Even Rupido gets a spear off onto Carl. BKB going to be forced out.
Oh, God.
The Carl's gone. It's just way too much damage from Yoe.
Ooh, that is painful for T1. Again, overstaying. That seems to be the name of the game here. When T1 wins, it's Execration overstaying their welcome. When Execration wins, it's T1 overextending your welcome. So both sides have to know their limits. Good punishment out from BDZ. His Rubik has been on point. Rupido as well with a follow-up. The coordination here from Execration just shining true once more. They find an objective. They take the network lead back their side, and they don't have to worry about Aegis. So they open up themselves for the cleanup in the melee racks. They could swing down mid if they wanted to.
Oh, great Yule stepped around. They got Cuckoo there. Stun is out as well. Whitemon being caught, but the disruption is going to stay. Still Cuckoo is going to die. Yoe finding a double kill on the Sven, and this is starting to look very, very bad for T1. They are going to lose their first melee barracks of the game. And with the time they have, they might be able to get a secondary. Whitemon will buy it back, but it needs more help than that. Cuckoo and Carl, they are holding on to their buybacks. Zephyr going to show up. Now the buybacks come out with the disruption set up for Yoe. Pops the BKB and just runs away. And Rupido will let them know about it. However, BDZ maybe gets caught out. But no, he blinks away. He should be all right. And Carl cannot keep up. And that is a very unfortunate situation for T1. So many buybacks forced out, but they get absolutely nada.
It's a tricky spot. Like, they couldn't allow another set of racks to fall down. They would have lost at least just this racks. Like, the top racks would have still held because they have their tier 2. Now T1's on a bit of a back foot. They're 6k behind, which is not a huge amount, but that's only because Jackie's #1 right now. Everyone else on T1's side is lagging behind in farm. Cuckoo is pretty much a non-factor on this LC, and it's so strange to say that because this is one of his signature heroes, and he has just not been able to get as much out of his duels as he'd want to. The disarms from the Invoker are just doing way too much. They will smoke up. They've got RP. They need to win. If they die here, they're out of a lot of buybacks.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Smoke on smoke.
Radiant are scanning for enemies.
They are quite far away from each other. T1, they're just going to wait around the mid lane.
Dire are scanning for enemies.
Cuckoo can have a search around. Ken, still just smoke, not in the Ghost Walk. Jackie's going to have his smoke broken. He knows they're around here somewhere.
Tower is under attack.
Now Blink in Rupido. It's a great arena round with the Cataclysm. If they're going to blow up Cuckoo straight off the bat. Now Yoe getting in onto Zephyr. He kills off the Shadow Demon, but can they get more? Jackie's trying to run, but that BKB going to wear off soon. He has nowhere left to go. He tries to jump the cliff, but he couldn't get over it. The spear will help him out though. They'll lose Whitemon. He needs to try and fight this one out. He's going to try. He still has the cheese. And Carl's coming in. He does have an RP, but the lift out from BDZ not allowing him to get in range for a nice RP. He has to try. Yoe actually dying to Jackie. Jackie stays alive long enough to kill off the Sven. Now the skewer and the RP out. BDZ waiting with the RP back. He does still and turn it back around. And now they can take out Jackie, and they will also find Carl. Zephyr is probably going to die a secondary time, and that is a full team wipeout. Oh, BDZ Rubik is just such a treat to watch.
Oh, it really is. He's done this multiple times in this Rubik already in the few days we've casted. Just an absolute beast. And T1, they're out of a couple of buybacks now. Fortunately, you know, the mid-racks still stand. There is still a tier 2 for Execration to eat through, but the lead is wide now. This is 14k up on Execration. This is very bad news for T1. Even if they do respawn in, there's a very, very tight window where they can get the fight going, and they're going to have to really force it out. If Execration overstays without the Sven, that could be an opening, but the respawns are just too long. They're still going to drop these objectives.
That they will. Mid-rack's gone, and it really should be Megas as Rupido going to find Cuckoo again, gets a nice arena off, but the Heavenly Grace is going to save his life. Ken going in with a massive Chaos Meteor. Whitemon gonna get blown up, and now BDZ with the lift up on Cuckoo. Won't be enough. But with that final lane of barracks is just set to fall. They're gonna try and defend this one out. Jackie jumps in straight onto the Mars. Pops the BKB. Can't keep going though, the Glimmer Cape was there. Cuckoo now being tornadoed up. Rupido spear not going to be well timed. He does miss out on the LC. But that Rax is 25 HP away from dying. Someone's just going to go in and hit it. They do force out the glyph. I don't think Rupido is planning to back off until he does get the kill. Cuckoo gonna try and duel him, but it's already down. The Sunray's there as well, so he's taking no damage. Cuckoo trying to run away now. Disruption might save him. The spear will be off the mark, and Sunstrike will not land either, but now Carl getting in with a great skewer back, but it's not gonna be good enough. The arena there, the egg drop, Cuckoo's gonna die. They also got Whitemon, and now it's on to Carl, who's just a bit of a sitting duck here to Yoe. A great spear out from our Mars, and that'll mean Carl does die. BDZ with the RP once again, just catching out Jackie. The Cataclysm, the stuns out. They will get game one. An Execration. It was a bit rough at the start, John, but man, that second half of the game just looked great for them.
Oh, that was so well executed out from Execration. They ran their lanes perfectly. BDZ delivered the goods on the Rubik, and Rupido as well. He was key to all of this. The Mars just setting up. The fact that they gave that emphasis to the Mars once the arena was up, going up to the top lane, finding those early kills, applying that pressure out. You also had this really hard matchup coming out for Carl. His Magnus had such a long time down. They couldn't get out any early RPs. They couldn't find any fights set up. And Cuckoo did have a really slow lane on his signature LC. It was just not a very good LC game, despite having some good anti-control. Couldn't find any dual wins. You can see he only found one duel, and he did give 20 damage out to our Sven. So T1 back to the drawing board. I think they've got to find a draft that plays against the playstyle of Execration a little bit better. But Execration, for their part, really well played from all of them. I'd have to say BDZ and Rupido really take the MVPs for me in this round.
I would agree with you on that, John. Of course, we do have a Game 2 coming up shortly in just about 10 minutes. It is MLP Dota, and of course, John X Fire. We'll see you all again very, very soon for Game 2 of this Best of 2. See you then. of this best of 2 series between Execration and T1. And it's MLP Dota and John X Fire. John, welcome back, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Mike. First game was an exciting one. A lot of back and forth there, T1. They were still farming really good despite being behind in kills. In the end, they couldn't find the openings they needed to take those fights, and Execration just pulled way far ahead. Really excellent plays coming out from BDZ's Rubik and from Rupido's Mars. You've got to watch out when they do get those heroes. The opening here as well for Execration, they get the dip back to the Sven. T1 just leaves it in the pool after what Yoa did in the last game. I'd have to wonder if that's a smart choice, as he does know his Sven. He knows how far to push it. He knows when to come in. He may have been the only hero to die a bunch of times up against T1, but the rest of his team made use of that space really well. T1, for their part, start with a Slardar. So, a bit out of character. Could be the Cuckoo hero coming in. Could also just be a pause 4, pause 5. But Execration, this is ridiculous. They get the Omni Knight on their side, whereas T1 get the Lifestealer. So, you've got the Lifestealer to rip into the Sven, but Execration, Omni Knight Sven. That's also a pretty busted combination as well.
It certainly is, and it's going to be tough to go into this. Like, we saw what the Sven did last game. I wouldn't say it was all on Yoe. That game, of course, we did point out how well the Mars and Rubik were doing on the side of Execration to really set up for that Sven, but yeah, when you've got the Sven Omni Knight here, it's going to be a rather dangerous kind of combination to give away. T1, mind you, they do get the Slider Lifestealer, so they do have some ways of dealing with the Sven. I don't know about this Lifestealer, though. I mean, I know a lot of teams do tend to pick it into the Sven. Obviously, the inbuilt rage is going to be quite nice. It does feel like the Sven does kind of still deal with it, though, if I'm honest, John.
It really does. I think it's because the Sven can just kind of ignore the Lifestealer, focus on the other heroes, cleave them down. You do have certain ways of mitigating that as the Lifestealer. Perhaps going for the Heaven's Halberd build will help out a ton as well. That's one way to get that done, but might not be as big of an issue, especially since you have Heavenly Grace on the Omni Knight. So that is not going to last as long as you'd expect at this arm. Interesting to see as well, Execration did ban out the Rubik themselves. So because they start with the Omni Knight, they don't have first pick in the next phase. They know they've got to take care of the Rubik, because we see what happens when a Rubik's up against the Omni. It's just that classic pick after the Omni Knight. So many good spells to steal. They're not giving T1 that opportunity to maximize those spells for themselves. So they're going to have to look elsewhere for their pickups. T1 as well going for less than conventional bans. We see the Timbersaw come out, which is fairly straightforward. But their first phase bans of Viper Lina, those have been popular heroes, just not the ones you'd expect in the first phase. And you can see these bans keep going on. IO banned out now by Execration, again taking out more sustain that T1 would want to play with. And T1 do take out the Shadow Demon, which was not as effective as you'd expect, but still a really good hero to have, especially that Demonic Purge against Lifestealer is pretty nice.
That it is. T1 looks like they'll get the Leshrac pick, which has surprisingly made it through all the way to this stage of the draft. Is pretty rare in this current meta that the Leshrac does make it, especially on the tail end of the meta, but here it is. And Execration now to make their third pickup.
10 seconds remain.
Let's see what they do want to go into. I must admit, though, I do like that Leshrac into the Sven. Definitely one way to deal with the Sven quite easily. Execration, they might have a bit of a think about this one to try and find a bit of a solution towards this Leshrac. Though, do you think it's going to be a mid Leshrac, John? Because they've already got the Slider Lifesteal Leshrac. Like, they've got 3 cores picked up on the side of T1 of the first 3 picks. It makes me kind of feel like maybe the Slider's a support, or maybe even the Leshrac could be a pos 4 here.
Yeah, either option's fine. We've seen Zephyr do Leshrac 4 before. We've seen other teams do Slardar 4 or 5 as well. So you have that flexibility here for T1. I think it's likely that this is our Carl hero. I love the response from Execration, though. They go with Wind Ranger. So they've got a steady way to get some control out, some really good damage that can fly in. Whether or not that's a support or a core, more than likely a support. But you've got options here for Execration to play with. So it is looking rather nice. This is going to force your Lifestealer to go for an MKB fast. If you are worried about the Wind Ranger, not sure if you want to prioritize it. but this does give Execration a lot of options again in finding your angle. So a bit of a different draft from Execration. We haven't seen them really run the Wind Ranger yet, at least from the games we've covered. But we'll see what they can bring out with it. T1, I mean, they have this flexibility with Lesh Slardar. They do have to start showing a bit of that game plan. Maybe see our hard 5 come out for Whitemon and see exactly what's in store here for the T1 draft.
Absolutely. Fourth pickup now, T1. Should be a support, but yeah, there it is. The Enchantress comes out, a Whitemon special. Very dominant on this kind of hero. Very effective as well with the Enchant up against heroes like the Omni Wind Ranger and even the Sven. Can be extremely frustrating to play against this Enchantress, and I do believe that is a very nice pick for T1. Which brings me back to my question though. Are we waiting for a last pick support here for T1, or are we just going to pick another core and run the pos 4 Lesh? I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing the position 4 Lesh rack. I don't think it's that bad. I guess comboing it with the Slider can be kind of nice.
I feel like it's more likely the Cuckoo Heroes last. I think that's just how T1 tends to roll, but they could surprise us. I'm thinking it's going to be the Carl Lesh, the Zephyr Slardar instead, with something else coming out for Cuckoo. That could be one way to do it. I'm not sure. Again, not many teams do the support Slardar. Execration Duo do pick up that Rupido special again. Mars comes right through, so they've got really good team fight coming out. No straightforward setup for your Mars this time. So no lift into Spear, no disruption into Spear, but you don't have any save here as well from T1, so Execration should still be able to maximize those arenas and the Spears. We'll have to see what T1 wants in mind. Pause for Lush can work out. Zephyr has done that before. That does mean perhaps just Cuckoo doing the Slardar, which is a bit more straightforward. Could be possible. Again, it's just that their lineup's so open that it's really not clear what they'd want. I'd still say Core Lesh mid is probably the safest bet, but T1 and Cuckoo's drafting style in particular is all about kind of throwing you off guard. They do have last pick overall as well, so they have the edge in keeping their cards close to their chest. Execration's the one that's going to have to play the guessing game here.
That they will. Final banouts now to come. They get rid of the Bat Rider first. 30 seconds left. They'll get rid of the Night Stalker as well, just in case. So both Cuckoo heroes in the off lane, so they are seemingly believing the exact same thing you are, which is Cuckoo's pick is coming out last. Meanwhile, T1 focusing in on some mid heroes. They got rid of the Invoker. Just want to try and remove some lane dominant heroes that do well up against the Lesh. By the way, John, how long do you think it's going to take for this new patch to come out?
Tricky one to say. There's a big chance of it coming out right before playoffs, so maybe tomorrow, Tuesday night. I read around Tuesday night or Thursday nights are when Valve releases a patch. So it's either right before our playoffs or towards the middle of the playoffs, potentially, for that patch. Can be an interesting time. Before playoffs is probably ideal, but I think you're going to be screwed over either way if you're the teams. You're just going to have to scramble, maybe play what you're playing now and hope for the best, or adjust on the fly. It's a tricky time. I think the best time is going to be miss that mid-December launch date. Aim for a Christmas time release, literally 25th, 24th, or 26th. Get people to adjust before New Year, before DPC. Heck, with DPC so close, you reckon they might just push it back till really close to that? I don't know.
Well, they
it's
said
such an awkward schedule. I think it's an awkward time for mid-December. If they're worried about tournaments, although to be fair, that hasn't been a major concern for Valve dropping a patch anyway.
No.
So there's a possibility our playoffs just get completely wacky, which would be fun.
Well, Puck comes out for Execration now, so a nice way to lock everyone down. To allow Yoe to just hit people with his huge sword. T1, final pickup for them. Looks to be a Cuckoo hero we're expecting. What does he want? I mean, he's got the LC there if he wants to run LC again, but it doesn't really do much in this draft.
No. The Purge is nice for, say, a Shackle or for a Spear, but you probably could just get different heroes for that. Maybe, you could try going for a team fighter. Tide, although we haven't seen Cuckoo play too much Tide for the past. I'd say something left field. Brewmaster would be nice. You know, get the Panda, just keep the Sven flying up in the air when he got strength. That could be something, but we haven't seen the Panda out in a long, long time, Brewmaster. So I don't think that's going to be the last pick for T1, but it would be nice. I think that's just one way to deal with a Sven. The miss chance is something Sven doesn't enjoy as well. It could be annoying. They go to Doom instead on the offlane, so it does look like we're seeing support Slardar. No, Cuckoo Slardar. Support Doom? No, it's support Lesh. Carl Doom mid.
Yeah, I think that's the way they're going. Yeah, they might just run the mid Doom and run the position 4 Leshrac, so you have the double stun kind of duo in the off lane there with Cuckoo and Zephyr. They still haven't picked him up yet though, so they are waiting just a little bit, maybe discussing whether they want the mid Lesh or whether they want the mid Doom. They are going to have the mid Doom though.
All right, it's a bit of a strange one, but not the strangest draft overall. There are ways to make this work. Zephyr has played the 4 Lesh before, so this is something he's comfy with. The triple stun actually in the offlane is going to be really interesting. Bash of the Deep into Crush into the Split Earth can be nice if you can land it. So there's a lot of pressure here on Yoa to maintain his lane and avoid that. We'll have to see just how far he can get there. Carl mid up against the Puck. So you're talking about a melee hero up against Puck, never fun, but the Doom does kind of just get steady farm. Once you've got Scorched Earth up as well, you should be able to sustain the lane for the most part. Carl's going to have to play efficiently with his jungle camp access, which you can kind of get nicely on the right side of the Dar River, so should be decent enough for Carl to grab some creeps in between waves and kind of build up that way. I'd say with this kind of draft, you are looking for T1 to play a bit faster. They've got this Leshrac. They need to find these early objectives with the Diabolic Edict that could come out, and they would love to maximize the early Dooms as it's available. Execration, it's your standard Sven game. Yoa just needs to farm up, maybe get some stacks. Rupida, gonna be a key part once more. Arenas into the Spear, gonna be really important. We'll also have to see Ken active on the Puck a lot around the same time as Rupida would be. And this time around for BDZ, Javelin timing going to be really key for him to get some damage out. So those are all the things Execration has to watch out for. For T1, EXP and playing around the Edict and the Doom and melt some early objectives.
Absolutely. We'll go into game number 2. See if Execration can force out a 2-0 victory for themselves or whether T1 can force out a draw here. Again, this series doesn't really mean much for T1. They are already kind of set in stone in their position for the Crypt stage. And here we go again between these two.
A hot RP, Cuckoo said, and Longadog is like just Longanisa dog, I guess, like a food, or just making fun of the playing with the word dog. RP, hot RP. BD's like BDZ is being humble. He said that was just a lucky round with the RPs. And Cuckoo's actually asking, was it warded up there? And they're like, no wards. Cuckoo's like, oh, imbalance, yeah. And he can't believe it. Cuckoo's like, nah, there was a ward. He can't believe it. And BDZ is just like, nah, there wasn't a ward.
There actually wasn't, which is quite impressive, right? BDZ literally just blinks onto I believe it was this staircase right here. No wards, he just blinks up, gets 3 in the RP, and
Cuckoo!
What did he
He's
say?
making some jokes. BDZ is saying, hey, can I get a Christmas gift? Can I get, a little Christmas from him? And Cuckoo's like, well, how much? Ooh. Come on, boys.
Yeah, not
BDZ is like, yeah, that's it. I'm done.
Jesus.
He's just gonna PM it because too many people are watching. Ah, BDZ, shush.
Oh goodness me. You're gonna get the chat spamming things like Mafia again. This is not gonna be fun.
Oh my goodness.
What are you doing? What are you doing to our mods, Cuckoo? It's enough, sir.
It's making them work. That's what it is. Cuckoo keeps targeting BDZ. Gee, Wind Ranger. Alright, Cuckoo. Alright.
I mean, speaking of the Wind Ranger, does Do you feel confident about the pos for Wind Ranger? Like, we do see it here and there, but it has had very mixed results. You think BDZ makes it look good this game?
I'd say it hangs on how fast he gets a javelin in this lane with Rupido. You do have some really good combos, so Shackle into Spear or vice versa, because the Spear does work well with trees, so you can just follow up with a Shackle and get some good chain stuns off. Biggest issue here for Execration is that with a Wind Ranger support, you are looking at more of maybe a mix of damage and utility. Most certainly damage is the one you find early on with a Wind Ranger, which is a bit of a shakeup. BDZ tends to play supports that are more about utility, more about control. So we're going to have to see if he can get the same effect with Wind Ranger. I'd say he does have a harder time here. There are very tanky targets on T1. So if he doesn't find a Javelin, then you're probably not going to be finding these early pickoffs with a hero.
Zephyr gonna run into BDZ. Now RR's gonna show up. One's gonna be around to help out. Rupido gonna go for a God's Rebuke and will be able to take the bounty. He's gonna take a bit of harassment on his way out, but not too much. Gonna be just fine. And Zephyr, I was about to ask, is he gonna leave the lane? And of course he is. He will TP down towards the bot lane, where he will lane with Cuckoo. And speaking of this lane, John, it is a fairly dangerous lane for Execration to lane into. I feel like if you do land the Crush, or even just the Bash into the Split Earth, it can be a substantial amount of damage you have to take.
It really will be. It's going to be a while until RR can safely save Yoe. So we're talking about level 2, level 3 for our Omni Knight. And as a support, that EXP gain tends to be a bit slow. So Yoa is going to have to watch his spacing there. Should give Cuckoo and Zephyr a lot more presence, but they go in.
Well, they go in already, it seems. I mean, top lane, I was looking at the Wind Ranger and Whitemon dropping very low, but this bot lane also getting a bit of action, it seems. Even the mid lane, in fact, Ken taking a bit of damage here from Carl, but Carl is taking a lot more. In fact, Ken has an orb up in a second. He may throw it out here. No, he won't opt for it. He'll hold out for now. Very low heroes across the map, even RR dropping low while I was looking at that. It's like we could have first blood at any moment.
It's right on the edge again. Kind of reminiscent of game 1. Both sides just playing as far possible as they can. We'll see if anyone does misstep. Of course, in that top lane, talked about it a bit, but BDZ trading with Whitemon's not the most fun until you get a value point in Windrun. But that might be well for BDZ. Whitemon just enjoying the trades, as he is a very annoying Enchantress. But overall, rather even in terms of last hit. So far, no one really pulling too far behind or too far ahead. And both sides are just really wasting each other's regen. It's all about the small economy game from trading those early regen items out. And both teams are keeping that fairly even across the board.
Well, bot lane, Cuckoo going at it again with Zephyr. Yoe is the unfortunate victim of that exchange, but it's going to be alright. It's like mid, Carl has regen dump with the Salve. Ken's still looking to pump out as much harassment as possible. And unfortunately for Carl, he has not gotten lucky with one of those Ice Golem creeps, so he doesn't get that bonus armor that he would love right now up against this Puck. He has got the mana drain, which is something you don't really want, as top lane BDZ is actually going to claim the first blood onto Whitemon's life. Just nice power shot into a few hits. Just got the kill.
It does cost BDZ a lot of regen in this lane, though.
Oh, Carl.
So BDZ's out of tangos.
Carl's got to be careful. Carl's been on very low HP many times now. Ken's got an orb available. He's waiting for the right moment. Carl, oh, the silence does not connect. So Carl will be okay. He's going to walk up again, going for the creep, but is going to miss out. Looks like Ken will wait another day to try and go after the life of Carl.
Yeah, but this lane was always going to be a bit tough for the Doom. It's just melee against Puck. Puck has good right click, and you just don't really win out too easy.
Oh, Whitemon again dropping on the Enchantress. Mars able to pick it up this time around. And this lane is proven to be a lot harder for Whitemon than I first anticipated. Apparently the Wind Ranger and the Mars, something to look out for.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really playing around the enchant creeps or any sort of potential from that. Whitemon is just trying to play the zoning game. And earlier on it was fine, but now that BDZ has level 3, you know, it does have the value point in Wooden Run, it is riskier to kind of play that way. They do have this double slow from T1. Again, they just don't have the opportunity or the damage to really zone either one out. And the deaths from Whitemon does mean Jackie gets to farm a lot. He is full HP, out of regen, but not under any threat. You have to be cautious about how fast of a start you give BDZ. We've seen him do this before. If he's allowed to just build up on this Wind Ranger, it's almost the same effect as Rubik if that javelin comes out fast.
So much damage with that Diabolic Edict, and he is still going down. Yo, we're going to try and turn around onto Cuckoo, but Cuckoo had the Fairy Fire. We'll be able to get the kill onto Yoe and RR. It's a very nice couple of kills there on the bot lane.
Yeah, it's all down to that power spike on these two heroes. Level 4 up. They've got the Slitherin Crush along the level 2 Bash. Level 2 Blood Earth coming out here as well, although BDZ is going to intercept.
That he is. The Diabolic Edict still going to be a big problem for him. Cuckoo now thinking about going for something, but he does get shackled up. They shouldn't really have enough damage, but Yoe is also going to show up from the side, and he does secure the kill. Nice rotation from BDZ.
Yeah, he's been working this map real well. That does give them a little bit of a gold injection after those 2 losses down bot, so Yoa is going to be really happy about those pickups. Still not too bad for T1. They are lagging slightly behind in farm. I think the one lane they really need to relieve is this Doom lane just a tad, and BDZ is here to pressure.
Well, Carl is going to be in definite trouble. Shackles not going to latch on, but they have the Dream Coil there, and they should have the damage output. He'll try to Fairy Fire up, but Ken is able to take the kill on the puck. RR will even come in and give him a bit of a free reset, in terms of HP anyway. It's going to make it a 4-2 now for Execration. The Whitemon does come in and get a nice Invis rune for himself, but that's pretty much going to be it. It's like he is even checking to see if there's a bounty around, maybe some stacks. Yeah, won't really get much out of this though. BDZ is going to be fine to just walk away.
It's been a slower start for Whitemon, but we are seeing his disruptive play come in, taking some big creeps out, clearing some camps in the downtime. Jackie is just allowed to be alone.
Yoe's in trouble again, but looks like the Purification is going to come out, and well, they couldn't quite follow up all the way with that Diabolic Edict. They might look to go back in soon, as Cuckoo has primed the Bash. Looks like they are not going to be willing to dive the tier 1 tower, though. Zephyr is going to try and pull the creep wave away, but actually leaves it behind. It's going to meet up their way anyway. Yoe might get one deny from that creep wave.
It's a solid start so far. The one difference here is that T1, they've been able to leave Jackie alone for the most part. Whitemon's presence hasn't affected that lane, but our lifestealer is still #1 in terms of last hits. So it's been a really good time here for T1 in their safe lane. You're not falling too far behind for Yoe as well. It's a Sven, it's clearing out the waves. He has died one time, but it's not the biggest loss. They do need to perhaps work on some stacks. Yoe is starting to clear a couple of them out, but he's going to need a lot more to get that gold injection once his Mask of Madness is up.
That he will. Looks like Whitemon's still just chilling out, farming some neutral stacks in the Radiant Triangle. Everything pretty quiet on T1's end. In all fairness, Jackie has been farming very nicely on this lifestealer, just about 200 gold ahead of the Sven.
Where are you going?
Bit of an enchant there from Whitemon onto the Mars. Rupido is looking for a fight. Not quite. He's going to hold on to the arena for later on. No real rush for him. Definitely a bit of a lull period here, though, between these two teams. No one really wanting to get involved too early now. Everyone seemingly very satisfied with just getting some farm up.
Yeah, I think there's some antsiness about getting off of first Doom here, or some arenas to follow up from Rupido, but otherwise, no real opportunities. A lot of big tanky heroes for them to have to contend with. I mean, the laning of Rupido, again, even if you throw the arena out, the life is just naturally going to walk out. Perhaps down bot.
Gonna try, orb forward. Ken does land the Dream Coil onto the Slardar. Stormhammer gonna be there. Yoe, he'll pop the God Strength, but he's gonna have to run now as the TP rotations do come in. Carl looking for a doom out. Ken keeps juking him out mid-animation. Ken's gonna be okay. Looks like everyone else got out safely from Execration's end. That's gonna be a bit of wasted time and not just wasted TPs as well for T1.
Yeah, they could go for the push now as Execration are lining up for the top tier 1 as well. So it should be a straight 1-for-1 trade. Of course, this is faster for T1. They've got level 3 Diabolic Edict and Zephyr. Tower should just melt.
Oh, Zephyr is very deep in the tree line there. He'll go for a split earth, but now Arena going to be dropped as well. Jackie is going to be able to rage out, but they do kill off the Leshrac. Into Cuckoo they go. Carl still looking for that Doom, but a massive God's Rebuke coming out. The Doom is going to be there now. The Puck in trouble. Cuckoo will dive underneath the tier 1 tower. A nice spear to hold down Jackie, but Cuckoo does eventually kill off Ken. Into Rupido, they kill him off. And now BDZ is trying to run. A nice shackles out from the Wind Ranger. He's going to be okay, and it looks like they'll also get RR out. And now the race is on for some bounty runes. BDZ going to race Carl then. So Carl has no chance in hell of getting them. BDZ is going to be able to pick up both. And, well, the top lane, Cuckoo managed to get one, but RR got the other. So it is going to be a 3-for-1 trade on the bounties as BDZ does end up eventually dying for his troubles.
It's a lot of back and forth all of a sudden. 5-5 now on the kill board. Less than 1k lead coming out from T1. Big difference right now is that Jackie again has been given a little bit more space. Yoe should be able to start to overtake though. Mask of Madness up, has some ancient stacks to clear out. If no contest comes out from T1, it's going to be a nice injection for the Sven. Still, T1 understanding they've got this power spike, they've got the Leshrac with early Diabolic Edict. They will look for more towers, and the mid-tier one's a juicy one.
Yeah, Dream Coil mid lane catching out too. This will be a nice couple pickups if they can get it. Rupido getting a nice spear off onto the Doom. Cuckoo trying to crush them up. He will kill off BDZ, and Carl is still running away from Ken. Cuckoo meanwhile trying to fight this one out in the mid lane. Misses that crush, but it's still alive as Jackie comes in with the open wounds, but Rupido does kill off Slardar. The Guardian Angel is out as well, and that should be it. So Zephyr looking to still go with the Split Earth, but he is very low in terms of HP and mana. They do get the mask, but they'll lose the Leshrac onto Ken. Ken is just going to run away. They do get the T1 mid tower. So overall, not too bad for T1. A 2-for-2 trade as well. I think overall they'll be pretty happy with that.
Definitely, it's a pretty massive win. This will allow them to invade the triangle a bit as well, prevent some stacks from being built up down the line for Execration. T1 might have been happy enough with grabbing a couple of kills. I think losing Rupido will offset your blink timing though, and that's really important. We need Morris to be up in front, backing up this puck, getting the arenas off down deep, and that just means it's going to be a little bit longer until you'll see that blink on Rupido. Gonna have to see if they can get that recovery. Still T1 playing this offensive game on the objectives. Top tier 1's already very low as well. 54 HP should be a deny for Execration, but the map control loss is going to be rough.
Power shot almost landing there from BDZ, but Jackie, very quick reactions with the rage. And the infest out as well, just to make sure he gets himself away from these crazy people. Just go down the river a bit, see what's going on there. How's Yoe farming? On top of the net worth, has been kind of juggling it there with Jackie.
Scanning for enemies.
It still does concern me, if you are a fan of T1, that Yoe not only has kept up in net worth, but is constantly overtaking Jackie on the lifestealer. This Sven is still going to be a pretty big problem as time goes on.
It will be. I think the one concern for Execration's end, though, is that the lead that Yoe has is not as big. His jungle's already been invaded as well. You can just see all the wards coming in here from T1 to keep the bot jungle and the triangle kind of locked in. So Execration always runs the risk of being jumped while they farm in this area. T1 just needs to make use of that information down line. Looks like they're waiting for blinks to come in on their end. Carl, just about 200 gold off from his. So once you have this blink in the Doom, you can be able to initiate, get a good Doom off, start to lock in, get yourself a numbers advantage in these fights, and build off from there. Execration, The blink for Rupido is still a ways off, but you have this blink on Ken. So you also have this way of jumping in on Execrations and forcing out these fights. They just need to kind of clump up. They're not looking forward to that, though. They do want to play this long game. They do want to just build up for now and take it steady.
Carl gonna run into BDZ. Win right away. Carl not too happy about that from BDZ. Bot lane. Ken. Gonna show himself to Jackie in the tree line, but Jackie doesn't really care for the puck right now. Just gonna leave him be. He's gonna continue creep skipping to not allow them to get pressure onto that tier 2 tower.
Dire should look to their top tower.
Might be a bit of a smoke up here. T1 do indeed smoke up. No vision
That's
out
under
from the
an
raid.
obs.
Oh, there was an obs. All right, well they have been scouted out. However, they still jump in onto BDZ. He did get the wind run off, but it just doesn't matter. He's gonna die. Just a Wind Ranger kill, however. Not too big of a deal for the side of Execration. They may be able to go for a bit more.
There is little hope for Radiant's middle tower.
Or maybe not, T1. Could they try for the Roshan? No, it seems like they will not.
Bottom tower is under attack.
It's a free AB pickup. Not the biggest kill, but it does give T1 a clear net worth lead now. Haven't really revealed anything big. They didn't use any big spell. The blink might have been spotted out in Carl, but they haven't really been able to do that as well. And they do know the blink's up on Ken as he does reveal it in lane. So options are shown. Just need to get these spells out. Both sides looking to really want that. I think more pressure on T1 to use the Doom, as while it's sitting, you're not really gaining too much. You would want to just try to get an easy pick off. Maybe they try to go for a smoke again. I believe smoke is coming out for Whitemon if they wanted to. So they're going to have another option to jump in. Just have to be cautious about these wards. Execration have been putting them in the right spots to watch the movement come out here.
They are. I wouldn't say a very quiet game between these two, but it's much more quiet than last game, that's for sure. So both teams respecting each other's potential. We're trying for that blink again, not opting for the Aghanim Scepter. Doesn't feel like he needs it. Jackie is trying to get a Heaven's Halberd up. Trying to get the disarm off on the Sven, and in all fairness, without a BKB, it's probably not going to be able to deal too well with that Halberd once it is up on Jackie.
Yeah, it's not going to be the longest control as well because of the presence of Omni Knight. So the Heavenly Grace is going to mitigate a lot of that. I think you've got to be really aware when you go for that item on against the Sven with the Omni. It's still good, but you have to know that your window is much tighter up against that Sven because of the Omni Knight. So T1 might want to aim down RR before anything else if these fights do break out. When they break out, it does look like Execration has clumped up for a smoke. This one was not spotted, so we'll see what they can get.
That it was not. They're going to go into Cuckoo. Arena drop. They'll go with the Stormhammer first. Into the spear, but here comes Jackie. With Cuckoo, can they get the job done? Well, Cuckoo's already dead. Can Dream caught up, is being left behind, although no, it does wear off. And now they can kill off this Sven. With the Doom there, Yower does go down. Rupido, he's not going to be fine. The Hoof Stomp is going to come out from Carl. Still Ken, does kill off Whitemon. Jackie probably wants to leave now. His rage is over. Carl doesn't really have an easy way out. Jackie's still trying to fight, and Zephyr will show back up. They'll go after Ken. The spear is going to be there once again from the Mars, though, to make things very, very difficult. So Jackie now backing back off. Zephyr, he'll go after BDZ instead, but BDZ surviving through the Pulse Nova is now going to be able to come back in, and with his teammates, they should kill Zephyr. He needs a couple more hits on BDZ, but he can't quite get there in time, and looks like he is going to accept the fact that he is dead. Still going after BDZ, but he is being kited. The BDZ will walk away scot-free.
A rather interesting back and forth there. T1, after finding that one kill in the Sven, fall a bit flat chasing around. Feels like they do lack damage. It's outside of the Doom right now. And they're going to need perhaps a blink up and Cuckoo to help him gap close as well on top of it once they get this chase going around. So blink can be up in Cuckoo in a bit. That should fix a couple of their issues here. Execration for their part, you did lose Yoe. He does drop behind in terms of farm, but this is still a Sven. This is still going to be relatively quick farm once he goes back in the jungle, which he does. The wards are starting to fade from T1. They haven't replanted them in the triangle, so it's a lot safer now for Yoa to just focus in, get that gold base built up. Has been swapping around his items queued up as well, but looks like he will go for the BKB, knowing that the control here from T1 is a bit too big. So that should help the cause. That blink is up in Cuckoo though, and they might look to make something happen with it.
I think the BKB is a pretty smart decision to make here for Yoe. Bit too much going on from T1 to not pick up a BKB. Still very relaxed on these two teams. You look at Zephyr, he's getting he's going for that Aghanim Scepter on the Leshrac. Jackie's got the AC queued up, very standard stuff. Bounty Rune's going to be mostly picked up again by Execration. They're going to find a 3-for-1. T1, they have their eyes set on this Roshan, but they haven't really found a good opening for it as they're not completely winning out these team fights.
They found a top tier one, but that's a pretty dead lane. They actually did lose all bounties as well, so a lot more gold. I mean, just complete control right now from Execration over those map objectives. Cuckoo's just constantly baiting out the Roche with the haze, but they need to commit. This downtime where you let Execration farm, you are giving so much potential for Yoe to just pull ahead. This is a Sven you're kind of trying to wage a farm war on, and it doesn't really pay off. I mean, you are still slightly ahead in Jackie. It's not a massive lead. Yoa would like to be in the lead, and if you let him do this, he will be in the lead at some point. BKB gold just about finished up here, almost. Maybe about, yeah, no, it's all done on Yoa, so he's got space to stand in front of these fights. If you don't doom the Sven, you will have complete control, so Carl's got to be on point with the doom now. Of course, if you do doom the Sven, you run the risk of having Ken really start to run around, and speaking of Ken, his Ags is almost done, so we'll have to see what the time is line up to. There is that smoke on T1 though.
There is. They're going to try and re-invade this Radiant Triangle. They will run into RR. A very nice, easy kill. With that Omni dead, they may make the rush to the Roshan pit. I still don't think it's going to be that easy for them, even with the Omni gone. T1, I mean, they'll get started. But Execration, they are starting to posture around the pit. Got plenty of ways to give vision with that power shot and the spear. 5 seconds for that Omni to be back up. Power shot getting more vision now. They're looking to go in. Yoe is there with the arena drop. Jackie Aegis is picked up by the Life Stealer, and Yoe in a very awkward predicament, or maybe not. Rupido is holding them back. He's got the stun out on Jackie, but they'll lose Ken, they'll lose BDZ, and they'll lose the Mars as well. So the Roshan fight does work out in T1's favor as they go for a bit more. Cuckoo is there with the bash to the deeps, and RR, he just respawned, but he is also going to die. A 4-for-0 trade, and Jackie does manage to hold on to the Aegis.
It's a really big win for T1, blowing this game open. 5k lead picked up by them, and Execration, it looked like they had a good angle. They couldn't follow up on the arena. They couldn't get the gap closing there on their Sven, so they're going to lose out on some objectives. This is, again, where T1 shines well. They can melt these towers fast, especially once Zephyr makes his way down. Tier 2 mid can be fortified, but it's not a healthy point. They will try to clear out, though, but one more right click from Jackie should get that done.
He gets it done eventually.
They can set their sights down to the other tier 2s as well. Execration can look to play. Arena is going to be back up soon. But they'll have to be aware of these item spikes in T1. Ags up and Zephyr means that more presence on him when he does turn on the Pulse Nova.
Rupido going to come in now. Spear is there on the arena. Jackie going to help out and keeping alive with the Infest. Now the Mars in trouble. Will go down to Jackie. And here comes Cuckoo with a double stun out. BDZ and RR both caught. They're going to try and run. But another stun coming out from Carl onto BDZ with the pump fakes there. And they'll get the kill as Carl will give the tip over to BTC. Now T1, they're looking for the high ground.
It just melts. Diabolic Edict up at max. Even with just a couple of creeps, not going to be able to defend these racks. They do have God Strength on Yoe, but he is just busy farming top. He knows that they can't really take the fight without Arena up soon. They're just going to have to concede at least one set of racks. Fortunately, tier 2 still stand. So T1 will have to go back for those first before going for further high ground wins. And that is enough time to get some respawns going here for Execration.
That it is. Well, the bot tier 2 going to be targeted now by the side of T1. Ken trying to creep skip while all this is happening. Going to buy more time and space for his team. Tier 2 is gone, and they do have a few creeps around, so they can try to make the next high ground play. Looks like they do not want to go too far. They're going to back out. Of course, they did spot out Ken, who was skipping that last wave. Instead, they are going to make the run up towards Rupiro on the Mars. Going to try for the TP. Cuckoo, could he find him in time? Not quite. They'll get a bounty, though. Not too bad.
Yeah, a good amount of gold now bouncing towards T1. Compensate for last one, although.
Well, Zephyr caught out by the smoke. He's going to die to Execration. He's completely surrounded there. Of course, Execration would have liked a bigger target than that, but sometimes you just have to settle for what you get. They are picking up the T1 tower. I suppose it is about that time to go after that mid-tier 1. We're 25 minutes in. Yoa will get started, but Jackie does not want to let it go down. They'll move back in, open wounds out. They want to try on the Sven. Meanwhile, in the back, they have got Carl in the shackles. Yoa still fighting Jackie, almost gets him as well, but Jackie, he's healing up with the help of Carl and Cuckoo. He will not die. Now onto the Mars as well, just chasing him down the river. Cuckoo would love for his teammates to move over right now. He's the fastest man on the river, but it looks like they will eventually be able to catch up as the clumsy net does come out from Carl. Rupido is kind of a sitting duck. Heavenly Grace will help out a bit, but he cannot get out. Or maybe he can with the Glimmer Cape. He's trying to juke away. He does blink, and looks like he is actually going to be fine, as RR will trade his own life away to help out his teammate.
And that's another big set of wins for T1. Getting the right Doom target on top. The Sven, even with a BKB, if you do get Doom, doesn't really do much for you. So you've got to be cautious about that spacing. Set of racks down bot's going to go. Top racks are still protected by the tier 2, but T1 could just look to go for the juggler if they want to feel adventurous. Looks like they will play safe. They're going to have to wait for the next Doom to be up anyway, which is about a minute and a half. And they are up by a whole bunch now. 12k lead for T1. Execration still really starting to lag behind. Yoa not having as much impact here. Does have his blink up in the Sven, so perhaps he can start finding the angles here, but I think this time around the avoidance of the Axe is starting to cost him a bit. The Stormhammer is just a really strong way of jumping in for the Sven. There are so many ways for T1 to cancel off these blinks as well. We'll have to see just how well it pays off for Yoa.
Well, that we will. Ken, again, creep skipping is going to be able to just TP onto the tree line. Just going to be perfectly fine. The Ags up now on Cuckoo, going to make it that much harder to deal with his Slider. Yoa really hasn't had the most impact this game. He's been trying, but he has really been struggling with just being able to hit people in these team fights. It feels like there's always something flying at him, as Cuckoo now going to come in with a big stun out, and Jackie pops out onto Yoe once again. He's trying to go onto Carl, but look at the damage coming out from Jackie. He just can't quite finish him off. RR is going to be the first casualty on the side of Execration. Now BTS going to be chased down, but the clumsy net is going to be out, and Carl will give him another tip as they do burst him down. They seem to know where the Mars went, but Rupido will be able to just get himself out. And Zephyr, well, Yoe is actually chasing him at the moment, but Zephyr's taking them out. Ken will finally take him down. But that was a very close call for both these two. They might have actually died had the Leshrac had a bit more HP.
Yeah, that's a scary spot when the pause 4 Lesh can actually do that much by himself. Have to really watch your spacing here from Execration now. They are just trying to cut the waves, although... Yikes.
Oh. I didn't quite spot that one, John, but Cuckoo and Jackie just killing off Yoe on their own. Looks like Cuckoo just TP'd up to the top tier 2 tower.
Yeah, it's the gank train. This is when it gets ridiculous with the Ags up in your Slordor. They're all over the map, getting some hits off. And Execration, again, the map's just so small. They need to find a way of bouncing back with Yoe. He is gone for a very long time. They're losing the rewards in their triangle. There's just no safe spot. T1's all over the place, clearing out these camps, widening that lead. Execration just need a really good defense in the high ground. They've got the Puck, they've got the Dream Coil, they've got Arena, they've got Guardian Angel. If they can find the right opening, it could still be big.
Could be, but Cuckoo in the backlines once again does catch out RR. Looks like the Heavenly Grace is going to be just enough to get him out. Jackie not going to stick around too long for that tier 2 tower. They are lacking a bit of a creep wave. They'll go back for some bounty runes. That'll be 4 bounty runes going the way of T1 this time around. It's going to be a lot of gold going the Dire's way as Cuckoo looking to jump in again, does find the Mars and looks to burst him down. However, a big stun out, a lot of cleave coming out. Yoe, he'll find Carl, but that's all he finds for now as the Guardian Angel does come in. Rupiro did buy back. They will also kill off Cuckoo, but Yoe has already died. They have no damage without that spend. Ken's going to try and jump in on the Puck, but it's just not going to be enough. He is being ignored. And we do actually have a DC on Jackie in the middle of all this. But this team fight is all but over, it looks like. I imagine T1 should just... Cuckoo.
Having a laugh about his teammate.
Well, I mean, you know, they've basically won the team fight. They've already found the Mars. They found the Sven. Yoe could buy back here, but it looks like they're about to lose RR. And, well, Ken might find his way out of this one. But it is going to be a 3 for 2. Could mean that they just rotate back towards the top lane, maybe find that tier 2 tower, and eventually, once they have their teammates back, start setting up to go for that high ground push up at that top lane.
Yeah, gonna be a smooth swing around for T1 once they get that done. Buyback for Yoe is not gonna do much, not without that God Strength. So I think he's just gonna have to hold on. There's not much Execration can do in this case. Especially not with the Arena as well. Like, just losing that kit, having that dieback on your Mars hurts you a ton more. So, defensive tools for Execration starting to run out here. You would want to save Ken at the least. He needs to get out of there as the Dream Coil is going to be up in about half a minute. So that's a fairly low cooldown for him. Would want to have that up as one of your only tools remaining for the next team fight, if there is still one to come out. I have to say I'm a bit surprised with the progress here in Execration. Like, we were talking about BDZ's timings of the Wind Ranger having to be on point. He has never had the space to get a Javelin. He went for this Urn build with a Blink. And the Urn is nice. It hasn't really secured him as much. The Spirit Vessel upgrade still a few ways off. And because you don't go for Javelin, well, BDZ just doesn't have as much damage. Does have good control with Shackles. But for the most part, we've been seeing single hero shackles so far. T1's not been punished for clumping up too much with double hero shackles. So it's been a slower game for BDZ as well. In stark contrast to how that first game went with his Rubik. The Wind Ranger just hasn't been delivering the goods here, Mike.
No, it has not. That's kind of what I was questioning earlier on, is whether this Wind Ranger was going to get much done. But in the early game was really good for BDZ, but the hero is kind of just garbage as a support once you go into the later stages of the game. Well, hopefully it won't take too much longer for Jackie to get back into the game, though. Again, I understand these players having disconnections like this, John. I've been experiencing some things during Tide. It's been a very rough time in terms of optimization.
Yeah,
Very, very rough.
it is. Hopefully our savior if a patch comes through, Mike, but I wouldn't know. Beta game. It's a beta game. I'm not sure what everyone's complaining about.
That's
This is
true.
a work in progress, ladies and gentlemen.
It is.
Not done yet.
Not done. In fact, I don't even care about the patch changes, if I'm honest, John. I just want my frames back. That's all I want. I don't care for the changes anymore. It's fine. Just give me the frames back. That's all I want.
Valve says no. No. Valve says no. Source needs those frames, Mike. You don't. Source needs them for some reason. Why not? There
Well,
you go.
we have the
Jackie's got
reconnection.
his frames back.
Good on him. Cuckoo will give the go when ready. And Execration. Looks like they're ready to go. RR does indeed die. Now BDZ going to be in danger. Will also go down. And Ken is the only one to get himself out. And T1, they do have an opportunity to try and force some buybacks out. Carl will continue giving tips out, this time to Ken. Ken going to stick around, but now will throw the orb towards the north. And Jackie and Zephyr, they don't really care for the puck. They'll let him keep creep skipping. They've got plenty of creeps from the other lanes coming in anyway. They just want to go for the next high ground. That they will. It will be forced. Ken trying to drag them back in. Jackie doesn't really have an Abyssal Blade yet to lock him down. He does have a Basher, but he has to hope for the lucky Bashers to come through, and they did not that time around. That'll be enough. They force out the Glyph, and they back off.
Yeah, it's going to be a steady siege up now with no outer towers left. 20k lead up on T1. Next Roche can be relatively quick, 40 seconds left. So T1 could just opt for that. They have sent some creeps in to watch. They've got the Ags up under Doom. That Abyssal you mentioned is completed on Jackie. So you can just jump in, get control in these fights, and really start to really even more of a control lead here for T1. Execration up against the wall now. They do have God Strength up soon. Perhaps they start to make a play. They are smoked up, just not quite meeting the timing for the Roche timer, so might miss out on an opportunity here as T1 is just waiting for this objective to be up.
The smoke up. Roshan, 5 seconds away, but they're going to run straight into BDZ again, and that Wind Ranger just pops. Wasn't even close. Is Cuckoo going to look for a bit more now? Doesn't have the blink up, but it won't matter. If they do check that Roche, they'll see a fresh Roshan. It looks like Whitemon already has a creep watching out for it. That's exactly where they intend to go. And well, BDZ, he might feel forced to buy back if they are going to go for a team fight. But Execration, they may just opt not to, as they are so far behind in net worth. I don't think they'd really make it in time anyway. There it goes.
Melts.
Roshan's down. They were chasing Carl that whole time. Carl was just fine to walk away.
Yeah, our Doom is fairly speedy now as well, as long as the Scorched Earth's up, so a bit of a harder here to lock in. Another pause coming out from T1. Thumbs up coming up from Carl, and Zephyr says, geez, sorry. So a bit of a mistake.
Well, they are lacking creeps of that top lane, but they... Jackie's internet. It's always Jackie's fault.
Oh?
They jump in from the backside. Looks like Yoe is going straight after Carl. Does kill off the Doom. Rupido is about to drop as well, though, and they also found RR. Yoe still trying to go after Whitemon. He's going to be spotted out. Ken still moving forward. Cuckoo is there with Jackie. There goes BDZ, and they just need to escape. Buybacks are coming in from Execration, but do they have enough to fight back? Jackie is onto Yoe. He has no way of removing himself, and look at the damage out. Just way too high. RR, he's gone as well. There's actually so much damage coming up from Whitemon with these impetus, and yeah, they just call it. GG is called. That'll mean a draw for this second series of the day between T1 and Execration. And that means we get to move on to our third series, John.
Yeah, it was a lot closer for T1 and Execration in the second game. Overall, the series were fairly tight. T1 coming out better in this game, though, really bullying it out. I think a lot of that boils back to the hero choices here. BDZ just could not get as much work done with Wind Ranger. You also didn't have many windows for Rupido to maximize his Mars without that backup, so it did fall a bit flat. Really heads up play from T1 drafting around like this, making it work, and do keep things sprightly for them as they do end their group stage run.
With that, John, oh, excuse me, I forgot to bring up the scoreboard.